How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we've got another of our Understanding How to Build series, going over each of the leaders from the first set, and helping you understand how to build them and the best way to build them for yourself. And for today, we're starting on with the aggression ones, so the red ones, for anybody that's not interested in like the name of the aspects. And we have Darth Vader being the first one. So if you're interested in Darth Vader and want to understand how to build him and basically play him as, well, build him as best to suit you, then feel free to keep on checking. We will not have deck lists in here, so if you're looking for deck lists, unfortunately you will be lost looking through here. But we do have a handy guide to help you understand how to build it the way you want to build it. So, before we get into the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as when they drop, and also by clicking the notification bell, you get alerts when my videos do drop as well, to then watch there and then, or at a time that suits you. So with that out of the way, hopefully you enjoy this, and let's have a look and understand how to build Darth Vader. So this is Darth Vader. So this is the leader, with both the front side and the back side. So it's when it's in the leader area and when it's deployed, and it's quite a late one. Well, not too late, but one of the later ones in when it comes to deploying, because it doesn't. You're not allowed to deploy it until it comes to 7 resources. You can get there a little bit quicker if you put in, if you play command with Vader, because that gives you access to silent rest and ramp to increase your resources quicker. But if you're not doing that, then you're going to wait until turn 6, which is 7 resources, to deploy him. But until you do deploy him, he has an effect where it allows you to pay by paying 1 resource and tapping him. If you've played a villainy card this phase, you get to do 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a base. You get to do a little bit of chip damage, similar to like Sabine, but you've got to pay that, and you've got like more restrictions how you do it by paying. You have to play a card, then pay when to do it, what's happened the leader. You'd also get to do damage to a unit, which is quite nice to kind of like put some chip damage on. But yeah, there's a few more hoops to do what Sabine does, but you don't do it to your own base, you do it to your opponent's base. And then when you do deploy, you are quite like a big boy as well, because you come down with some very nice stats, very solid stats, coming in at 5 damage and 8 health, so quite a chunky one, like bigger than most we've seen for leaders, which makes sense considering how late he deploys, and quite a bit of damage he packs as well. And he's also got a nice on attack. You may deal 2 damage to a unit, so just when you attack, you can deal 2 damage to a unit, either finish something off or put some damage on something to kind of make it so they kind of, if he's got something that's got 7 health, you can take it out in one shot with Vader. It also does have some useful traits as well. So he has Force trait, which gives you access to some like great Force cards. There's very good ones in his aspect combination, being aggression and villainy. You also have Imperial, so you get the good benefits of dark side as well, like Imperial support. And you also have Sith, which currently is a trait that hopefully will get some good stuff coming in when it gets later on into later sets. Get more cards, but currently it doesn't have the biggest amount of support. So this is what the leader does. So quite a nice leader, very strong stats when it deploys. It does deploy it late, but you can always like play command with it, the ramp, to get out quicker, and there's a nice effect to kind of like chip away as well. So it seems to be like one of the main things about the aspects is like aggression is more like chip attack, like damaging things, and being quite aggressive with damage. So that's the leader. So that is Darth Vader, and now we have a look at the different aspect combinations. So with each leader, you can kind of get 4 different aspect combinations, because you get your aspects on your leader, which for Vader it's villainy and aggression, and then along with your base you get a third one to give you your aspects. And now you can still play anything you want in any deck. You can put any card you want in your deck, but if you don't want to get penalized with the aspect penalty, then you want to like think about what aspects you're going to have among your leader and base. And aspect penalty basically means that if you try to play a card that doesn't share an aspect with the leader and base, then you have to pay an extra 2 resources for each aspect that doesn't match. So if you had, say, the first one, you have your Vader with a vigilance base, you have access to villainy, aggression, and vigilance as your aspect. So if you wanted to play any of the cards with any of those ones on, you don't have to pay any aspect penalty. But if you want to place a command card, because you don't have command among your base and your leader, you have to pay an extra 2 on top of the actual cost of the card if you want to play that. And if you have, say, like a command and heroic card, you have to play additional 4, because 2 for each aspects, being heroic and command, that you have to pay extra among the costs. So the combination you can have with Vader are, you can have vigilance with it to give you a bit like healing and like shield and defense. You got command to give you a bit of ramp and some good good support cards. There's a very good cards in command and villainy. You can have double aggression to basically cut your card pool a bit short, but give you access to some double aspect cards. And you have Cunning to be like quite controlling if you wanted to. So there's 4 different color aspect combinations. We're going to go for each of these ones to kind of see what the benefits are for each, to see which one suits you and which one you could probably look into building that helps you. First of all, we're going to go into ratios though, because it's better to understand the ratios about like how many copies of each card you're going to want, because you can play up to 3 copies of any given card. So you can play 3 copies, 2 copies, or just 1 copy, and it's good to understand like what the benefits are to having a certain amount of copies in the deck. So first one, we've got Super Laser Technician as a good example, so like you want to play 3 of, because it's one of the free ramp cards you can get, and one that's exclusive to like Villainy if you don't want to get the penalized by the aspect penalty. And this is one you normally want to play free in because ramp is so great, as we've seen from the first few like events of the game, where like it just gets you more resources. You can play bigger things quicker and just like overwhelm your opponent. And things like Super Laser Technician, which is like great ramp because it just is a body that you can then like just rush into with like put some damage or something and ramp it. And it comes in is one of the only ones out of the free ramp cards we've got so far that comes in active and ready to use. And is just a fantastic card you want to put free in. So like cards that you want to see as early, as quickly, as many as possible, then you would put them at free. And for 2 copies, we've got a copy of we got that Count Dooku as an example of something you might want to have 2 copies of, because this is a card that is quite a late game one where it's like 7 resources, so it's going to be quite late. So like turn 6, you'll probably not be able to drop it. And it doesn't have the best stats at 5/4, but it still has pretty good stats with great effects, and also comes in shielded. But it's one of those cards where you're not going to play it early, and then you have to wait until like 6 turns in before you can actually play your first copy. So things like that, you're not going to want too many copies, like maximum of like 3 copies of a card, because if you draw it dead, and for those first 5 turns you're not going to use it, just be sat dead in your hand, not doing anything, like just an option that you're not going to have access to until quite late in the game. And if you don't have a ramp, you're not going to be able to see even like earlier than that. So we normally like with big boss cards like this, you can see late game. You want them to have late game, but you don't want to see them too early. So you put them at 2 copies. That way you still see them when you need them, but you hopefully don't see them too quickly to like clog your hand. And then we got an example of something like Vader's lightsaber. Now for Vader himself, this is something you can probably have multiple copies, because you're always going to have the option to, if you see it, put on a Vader because you have Vader as your leader. But there are some things like this, like Traitors is another example, which could put better, which are like cards that are one-offs that could be handy in certain situations, but if you don't see them and you don't really care, like it's like Tech Choices, where it's a card that could be really useful given a certain situation, but if it's not useful, if you do see it, you can always charge it. If you don't see it, then you don't really care too much. So things like that, you can always put as 1 copy, so that way they're like kind of helpful things that don't really impact you if they're not going to help you. So hopefully it helps you understand the ratios about what cards you want to have at 3 copies, 2 copies, and 1 copies. So when we go into the aspects, you can kind of like make it better decisions then. So let's go and have a look at the different aspect combinations and see what we've got access to and what kind of benefits they give to each for each one to Vader. So we'll start off, like we always do, with the double aspect, because it's the one that kind of has like a lesser card pool. Because one of the nice benefits of having dual aspect, having like because every character has either villainy or heroic, so good side or bad side, and then they have one of the other 4 ones, being like the color ones. And you can get access to 2 of these via your leader and your base, also having access to light or dark. So with having dual aspect, you have access to 2 different card pools. So if you went for like aggression and cunning, you'd have access to like the aggression side of the card pool, and also cunning cards for your card pool. But if you go for double aggression, you're locked to just aggression cards. Otherwise, you can incur an aspect penalty for the other 3 of the aspects. So while you're locked for double aspects, so like double aggression, you're giving you access to cards that are quite powerful, that are double aspects, because with these ones, like you can see on the cards, they have like double of aggression, which means you have to have 2 aggression symbols on your leader and base to be able to pay for it, to not have an additional cost. Otherwise, if you don't have it, you have to pay an extra 2 for each one you don't have. Like just because you have 1 aggression, that only counts as 1 aggression symbol, not 2. So while you get access to like these kind of powerful cards, you lose access to a bigger card pool. So double aspect gives you like a smaller card pool, but access to some pretty nice cards. And currently, it's not the best one to go. Like certain leaders do have the benefit of being quite decent and quite good with double aspect, but not all of them do. And with quite a shallow card pool currently with set 1, there's not too many benefits to go in double aspect unless the leader kind of gets a better benefit of that than if they go other aspects. So aggression, for aggression you get for dual aggression you get Saul Guerrera as one as your double aspect your double aspect unit, and then you get Running Cry as your event double aspect, and then you get aggression as well because every aspect has the aspect as a event card named after the aspect that gives you an option of 2 of any 4 options, and it's a 4 cost. They're all the same cost, and you can choose which order you want to do them. So you can do them in certain orders to get certain benefits and stuff like that. Also, you get access to bases as well. So with aggression, you've got access to 3 bases, two vanilla ones that are 30 health bases, and you get all colors or all aspects have a rare base that has a little bit less health for 25, but have an epic action being an action you can use once a game. And for Target Town, that is a nice one. It goes well with Vader because Vader is all about like doing damage, and Target Town can kind of make use of that because his epic action is dealing 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. So while you can chip away and do a little damage for Vader, you can then finish off potentially with Tarkin Town, which is quite nice. So you have that like a nice benefit going with it. But then you cut down on a whole extra side of the card pool, so a whole different aspect just to have access to these 3 cards. And currently, it's not worth it. But as we get more double aspect cards in the future, it could be more beneficial. But currently, for set 1, it's not worth going double aspect. So that is the double aspect one. Not really worth going for it. Like it could be quite useful, but then you get very limited options, and the options aren't the best when it comes to the actual meta. So then we have the next one being Vigilance, and this is one that could do quite well because you get access to some really strong villainy cards in Vigilance. Now for the bases, you got once again the two vanilla bases that have 30 HP, and your rare base that has 25 health is Security Complex, which has an epic action to allow you to give a shield token to a non-leader unit, so you can protect one of your non-leader units with a shield once a game. So that could be handy. Then you got to consider if you want to take that less health at 25 instead of 30, just to get that action. But it depends on how you feel against aggro, because that's one of the main differences in the bases, is that 30 health can last a little bit longer against aggro strategies, whereas 25 health can might not as be able to survive as easily against them. But it gives you an epic action that can be potentially useful to help out, but it's down to how you feel and how you play. Now for the dark side of Vigilance, you get some really good, nice, low cost units, like smaller units to help deal with the early game. Like you get Inferno 4, being a very good space unit, helps you scry the top cards when it's played or defeated, so you can kind of fix what you're going to get. Scout Bite, which just gets stronger the more damage it takes because of grip. Death Trooper, which can finish things off and also chip away on, put damage on things like Scout Bite Pursuer to kind of make it stronger by your own effect without waiting for it to take damage. Also finishing things off. And then for a later game, you got access to some pretty nice units like Count Dooku, as we saw before, comes down quite late, but then can pop anything that's 4 or less with 4 or less HP remaining. Comes down shielded and also has pretty nice stats, even though it's not the most offensive. Then you have powerful events like Power of the Dark Side as well, being a very good unit, just forcing your opponent to defeat a unit. And this is one that where the less units your opponent has, the less they want to choose, the less they have to choose, the more they're forced to get rid of. And this can even take out leaders as well because it doesn't say non-leader like some other cards. Then from the non-dark side of it, you also have some really good events as well, some units. Like you have Regional Governor, a very nice unit that's good for the side deck. So that way, if you know your opponent's strategy and what cards are going to play, what options they have, you can kind of shut them out of being able to play certain cards by putting Regional Governor down, naming a card, and making so you can't play that card. Then you have also some nice space units in System Patrol Graph, giving you Sentinel from the space arena, so you can not get overwhelmed by that way. Then you have some really good events in Vigilance as well. Vigilance has some very good events. You've got Abominable Things, which Vader being a Force unit means you can get some good benefits because you get some cards that are Force cards, which give you an effect, but also then if you control a Force unit, you can get an extra beneficial effect. In this case, you get the heal 3 damage for a unit, and if you control a Force unit, you get to deal that much damage back to another unit, be either yours or your opponent's, which is very, very useful. Very cheap one just to heal off Vader to keep him around a little longer as well. And you have removal events as well, like Takedown and Vanquish, both giving different options, different things. Like Takedown is able to take out leaders, depending on what their remaining HP is, while Vanquish can take out anything that's not a leader unit. So you get some very good events, and it's a very nice combination to go for as well. You will like wait a while to deploy Vader, but you've got some really nice cards that help like control the game to do deploy Vader and allow him to join the battle. So this is a very good one to take do. And also I think previously won or did quite well with at least 2 slots in a 5K event in America. This like I think last weekend. So yeah, is pretty good combination if you want to try it out. Then we go to Command, which is one of the more popular ones to go for one of the more popular aspects in the game currently, and one of the more popular ones to go with like later game units like Vader, because it gives you access to ramp. So ramp allows you to get more resources quicker, and so you can then deploy leaders quicker, play bigger things quicker, and things like that. So it really helps get more resources quickly, so you can drop Vader as soon as possible, so you can join the battle and just take control, because he is a very good leader with solid stats. Now, just like with the other ones, you get access to 3 bases, two vanilla ones, and then you get access to one of the best bases in the game currently, which is like the most, maybe not absolutely the best. Probably most people will argue it's the best because it currently is the best, but the most like overused base at the moment, which is Energy Conversion Lab, being the rare base. Epic Action being allowing you to play a unit that costs 6 or less from your hand and give it ambush. Now you do have to pay the cost for the card you do play, so you'd have to pay the actual cost for the 6 costs or less you're playing, but you get the benefit of giving ambush. And ambush is a fantastic skill that allows it so when a card with ambush comes into play, it can restand and then straight away attack into another unit as soon as possible. So like cat attack bases, you can still use it to attack another unit to control the board and help you out a little bit. So it's really, really handy. And you get access to some pretty nice units in the dark side of Command as well. Like you get General Tag, which gives a good experience if you want to go for a Trooper strategy, which you can go for like wide with the like Troopers. You also got Seasoned Stormtrooper, which is a Trooper card that the more resources you get, the stronger it gets. So when you get 6 more resources, it's a 2 cost that has 4 damage and 3 health, which is really nice. You've got Super Laser Technician as one of your good ramp cards that allows you to come down, chip a little bit damage. Also, then when defeated, you then get to put in resource as active as well, so you get to make use of it straight away. Whereas the other 2 options make it so you have to it comes in rested. You also have Darth Vader in his own little legendary unit form, being one of the most expensive and most powerful cards in the game. Coming down itself with ambush, very solid stats as well, and also allowing you to play more cards on top of your deck as well, which is very handy. And then you got Overall Mirage being one of the best events in the game, allowing you to essentially power up a unit, any unit by 2/2, which can make it a little bit bulkier and a little bit stronger, and then allow that unit you give the 2/2 to essentially deal its power as damage across your opponent's board in any way you like. It's incredibly strong and a fantastic reason to play this kind of combination. Then you've got some other cards that are in Command that are not villainy. It still has some good cards. So you got like Vanguard Infantry being a very like small unit, but then and also a Trooper strategy if you want to go for it. But then when defeated, give an experience token to a unit, any unit. So you can when it dies, it makes another unit a bit stronger. You got Colonel Yolan, give you a bit of healing as well, which is quite nice as well with solid stats. Good sort of inside Viper being another one that can give you healing as well if you got the initiative, and very good stats for a space unit as well. Very nice one. You got Traitorous being like an upgrade you can use to grab cards off your opponent's board. Like if your opponent tries to go for a more aggro strategy, like by deploying those little things, you can just grab it from your opponent and use it against them with Traitorous, or even just grab something your opponent keeps powering up quite low, and then resupply being another ramp card you've got, because the other ramp card being a double aspect 1 in Command, so you at least have access to 2 in this kind of combination. And it's one of the more popular ones, probably one I would go for the most, because ramping allows me to will allow you to drop Vader as quickly as possible, so it joins the battle sooner rather than later, and just make use of it because he has a powerful effect and powerful stats as well, and gives you access to some really good, allow you to play some of your bigger things like your Vader unit as well quickly, and give you some good healing and control. And then we come down to the last aspect combination being Cunning. So this is one I haven't seen much of used outside of like some leaders. Like no one really seems to add Cunning to one of their Cunning to many of their leaders. But Cunning is a very good aspect. It's all about control. It doesn't have the best rare base though, because it's rare base Jeddah City, which is epic action, allows you to give a non-leader unit -4 for this phase. You get a weaken a unit. Not the most powerful, but it is an option. Depends like how useful you can feel. Like it could be one of those ones that's a bit useful more in the future, but currently it's not the most useful currently. Now you do get have access to some pretty nice units in Cunning as well. On the dark side, you get Bid Fortuna. Comes in shield on a good turn 1 play and allows you to tap himself to play a unit, an event from your hand at 1 cost less. So you could potentially play out some nice event cards a little bit earlier, a little bit quicker by having him on board. And he's shielded, so it takes a little bit of time to take him off the board. And he's got some solid defense. You got Boba Fett being a very good legendary unit, probably the second most expensive legendary unit in the game. Very strong, very good stats for low cost, and can just chip away harder at things that have been around for at least a term. Then you got some good space units, being like Cartel Spacer, being a nice one to give control, because while you control another Cunning unit, when it's played you get the rest and it's 4 or less, or 4 cost or less. And then you got 7th Fleet Defender, being a very nice unit, decent stats, and comes in shield as well. And it's a very good at events, because Cunning is quite good for its events. There's quite a lot of events, more than most I would say, and some very nice ones as well. And one of the best ones it's got is in the dark side, being No Good to Be Dead, allowing you to exhaust the unit and then make it so it can't ready this round. And considering how the turns function, where you have the action phase, at the end of the turn you have the resupply phase, kind of like draw resources and tap everything. That happens at the end of the turn. So when you use this, it knocks it down for not only that turn you used it, but also the turn after as well. So you can lock it down for 2 turns, which is fantastic. Then in the non-villainy side of it, you also got some cool units like Greedo. They're a very cheap, strong unit. Not the most sturdy, but when it is taken out, if you mill top card of your deck and it's not a unit, you get to deal 2 damage, which goes very well with the aggressive side, being to do chip damage. You've got Pirate Starfighter as well. A nice little unit, space unit. It's quite cheap, but can be played on its own. But it's a nice way to kind of recycle units you play. If you play a unit, have it come down, it takes a little bit of damage, or you want to reuse this on a play effect, Pirate Starfighter allows you to kind of reuse it, which is quite nice. And you got Strafing Gunship being one that is a very unique unit, and it's the only one that can interact between arenas. Usually in the game, only cards in the same arena can attack. So only ground units can attack ground units, only space units can attack space units. But Strafing Gunship laughs at that rule and it has an effect to allow it to attack ground arena from space. Now, when you do it as well, you do take 2 less damage back from whatever you attack in the ground arena, but it's very nice, a very unique card. That's pretty cool. And like I said, Cunning has very good events, and you've got nice ones like Shoot First, allow you to attack one unit, give it an extra +1 for the attack, but then you get to deal combat damage before the defender. So if you take it out with your damage, then it's dead before it can do damage back, thanks to Shoot First effect. And you also have things like Change of Heart, allowing you to just take control of your opponent's units, and then make use of it. At the end of the turn, you got to give it back to them though. So you can take something away from your opponent so they can't make use of it, and you get to make use of it instead. But then you got to give it back if you if you don't get rid of it, or if you die or anything like that. So that's kind of not the best one to use, but nice option. You can experiment with it, but it's more like the Vigilance is a little bit stronger because it's got some good removal and it's got some better cards in Dark Side. But then Command seems to be the stronger one, because it gives a ramp to allow you to deploy Vader quickly, and has some very powerful events as well, and units in the dark side of it. And I'm thinking, if he's dark side, does he have any dark side stuff? Well, yeah. You have both cards that are cards that are just heroic, and both cards that are just villainy that you can use as well. So you got some cards that are just villainy you can use, like Thailand Fire, which is a nice one you can make use, because if you want to keep using Vader's effect, you have to play off curb, meaning you've got to play cards that leave one energy open, or one resource open, so you can then use Darth Vader's effect to tap himself, pay 1 to then do 1 damage to a base in a unit. So you got some cheaper units there. You also have some nice units in Viper Probe Droid, and look at your opponent's hand and see what they've got to kind of go against you. Soul Block Guard as well, allowing you to put some defense in your ground arena, and its high advance, allowing you to power up if you go for an Imperial route, allowing you to one played, give 2 experience token to Imperial, making it 2/2 stronger until it's gone. Also, it's a starter deck lead as well. So it's the first you have the starter deck for set 1 being Vader and Luke, and with that, both sides had some cards to kind of help for their side. And while Luke had some cards that weren't the same as its aspect, cards that were you had his lightsaber. You have things like Leia, which was a Cunning card, where Luke is a Vigilance card. Whereas Darth Vader, you got all these other ones that you can make use of. Probably should have added this to the Luke one. But you got Grand Moff Tarkin as a 4-drop that you can play. That allows you to look at top 5 cards to grab any 2 Imperial cards from among them and draw them. So you get to put out a unit and just potentially +1, which is not often you get to do that. Vader's lightsaber as well, you can just chuckle him, give him an extra 3/1 to stats, making him a nice 8/9 if you put this on him. And then when it is put on Darth Vader, then you get to do 4 damage to a ground unit, potentially takes that account, or just chip away at it. And it only costs 2 as well. And then you've got things like Admiral Motti, which when defeated allows you already a dark unit. So if you have Vader deployed and you swing with it, if the Motti gets taken out, you can restand to anything, even like Vader's onto the dark unit. And you have I Am Your Father, which is an interesting one. You can try to do summon damage to a unit, but if your opponent says no, then you get to draw 3 cards instead. So you can your opponent either let you do damage to it if they don't want you to draw cards, or they can say, I don't want to take summon damage on this card, and then you get to draw 3 brand new cards to up your options, basically. And then you might be thinking, what options do you have with its own aspects? Because we haven't gone over what is good in like just aggression. We've gone over double aggression. We haven't gone over aggression and villainy. Well, there are some really nice cards you can get in Vader's own aspects. So you do have some cheap units like Death Star Trooper, which can go quite well, like Greedo, but don't have an effect on it. But then a nice stats to kind of go leaders of Darth Vader's effect. We're also putting in some pressure as well. Imperial Interceptor being like a nice like space unit you can do to like, take out opponent space units without needing to attack or anything. You got also another kind of lightsaber you can put on Vader, being a fallen lightsaber. Gives you probably better stats than Vader's lightsaber, being 3/3 instead of 3/1, but also doesn't give you gives you an interesting effect where just when you attack, you deal 1 damage to each ground unit in defending area controls. So along with Vader's own effect of swinging and doing damage, could you do 3 damage to 1 ground unit or 2 damage to something else in space, and then 1 to everything in the ground arena. And you got some nice force events in the dark side of aggression as well, like Force Lightning. You allow you to just for 1, choose a unit, get rid of his skills, but then pay some additional resources to do 2 damage once you control a Force unit, which Vader is. And the Force Choke, allowing you to the benefit of this, being having a Force unit on, is paid for less. So you can pay it for 1 instead of 2 if you've got a Force unit on play, and then you allow just deal 3 damage to a non-vehicle unit your opponent controls, and then not just your opponent controls, but just 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit. And then that unit's control draws 1, so you can either take out your own thing to then draw a card, or you can take out your opponent's cards and they can draw a card. It's very nice there. And then even in other side of aggression, you've also got like some quite cheap units you can play, like Partisan Insurgent and Benedict Tubes, which make use of having other aggression units on board, allowing you to give them more benefits, where Partisan Insurgent gets more benefits on itself from more aggression units whereas Benedict Tubes now you should make more benefits from other aggression units you have on board. Wolf allowing you to give away to kind of ignore Sentinels and stuff, allow you to like hold off healing, so people can't heal their bases while he's being played or attacking that phase. You got Fang Fighter as well, be a nice one to like defeat units. So like good, you got some good like ground units and space units. And you got also Force Throw, being a very good never force event you can use, allowing you to make a player discard. And then if you got a Force unit, which Vader is your Force unit, allowing you to make them like deal damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. So if you make your opponent discard a card and it's a cheap one, you can do a little bit of damage. If you discard a large costing card, you get to do a lot of damage to something. So yeah. That's Vader, understanding how to build Vader. So hopefully that helps you understand like what the ratios are for each cards in the deck. If you wanted to go for Vader and what his options are, and also which aspect you want to go. Like if I were to go for it personally, I would go for command. To have access to some like really nice command ones, kind of ramp up to drop Vader as soon as possible. But you can still play things like Vigilance to kind of have some access to them better in the late game. That's a very good event. And also like Cunning you can go for as well if you want to go nice control and play something different. But double aggression is probably not a good one to use until we get more future sets to give more options for that kind of combination. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one, being I think with either Grand Inquisitor or IG-88 next. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next one. Bye for now.